Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. Today is going to be a most carried video for fall of 2018. So essentially, I'm just going to talk about what's been in my pocket the most over the last couple of months. I normally do these videos most carried, every 6 weeks or so. And so I've been a little behind the 8 ball in getting these out. They're generally pretty popular, so I'll try not to do that. I'll try to be a little more diligent to get one out as I've been doing, every 6 weeks, 2 months tops. Now, let me say a couple of other things by way of introduction. The first thing is, if you're going to buy one of the knives in this video, go to White Mountain Knives, especially Kizers. They tend to have great deals on. You can use Sharp Stuff to get a 10% discount, and I'll put that in the description box down below. And of course, that does help the channel out a little if you do that. So if you're going to buy it anyway, right? May as well get 10% off and may as well help the channel a little. Okay. The other thing, and probably the biggest thing I need to say by way of introduction, is this video is just going to be recorded and posted. I'm having some technical issues with my computer. It may mean a brand new laptop, I'm not sure, but for a little while anyway, I won't be able to do any kind of editing, so it'll be, just recorded on the phone and upload it directly from there. I won't be doing any reviews in that way. I like to make my reviews a little cleaner than that, so it'll just be maybe some discussion videos. This video is, most carried, pretty casual. In the meantime, if you want to make recommendations on this video over on the Sharp Stuff Facebook page or anywhere else about video editing software that I'll also have to, especially open source stuff that I will have to put on the new laptop, I'd be happy to hear those recommendations. Keep in mind that, it needs to be stupidly simple for me to work, okay? I'm really not a skilled video editor, so take it easy on me. All right, let's go ahead and get into my most carried knives. I've got a number of different sort of categories here, and that's how I decided I'd break this one up. Beginning with these two. These are both kind of, middle of the road knives. They're not cheap. They're not crazy expensive, although the Milner, I think when it first came out, was probably around 300 bucks. I think nowadays you can probably pick one up for around 200 US. Great knife, arguably Kizer's best model, just as smooth as can be. Fantastic blade shape, a really well-balanced blade between toughness and slicing power, slicing ability. Really nice action, smooth as can be, flips really well. The only complaint I ever had with this, and I mentioned it in the review, is the detent is just a little bit soft, but otherwise, man, I love this knife. It is fantastic. Of course, on just about any most carried video, you're going to find the Para 2. This is a knife I carry when I just don't know what I want, whether I want something that's more of a workhorse or whether I want something that's a little more refined, whether I want something heavy duty or light duty. When you just kind of are not sure, this makes a fantastic solution because it's slicey, it's comfortable, it's reliable, it's, I wouldn't call it hard use, but it's certainly EDC plus. And I mean, it can do a little more than your average sort of lightweight EDC knife. Really, really well-rounded. And I've been carrying a lot of, this type of knife and even some budget stuff. And I'll get to some budget stuff in a minute because I have been doing some extra work, summer, fall tends to be the time that I end up doing some extra outdoor work, whether it be around my own house or working for others. And so I'll carry a knife that can kind of fill that role a little more comfortably. I do have a couple of other knives that I recently put a video up about that I'll bring in as well to kind of go into this little discussion. And the other two are probably knives that you could guess if you've been watching the channel lately. I recently did a comparison video between the American Lawman and the Recon One. And I got to tell you, if I'm doing something, if I'm hunting, if I'm, working on a job site, anything where I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to get into on that day, these are both great options because these are knives where I really feel like, hey, if I don't need my knife all day and it's, and I end up, just doing kind of light duty stuff, well, these can do that light duty stuff just fine. But if it ever came down to where I really needed something tough and reliable and durable, again, I think these are both really, really up to the challenge. And you can go check out that full comparison. I think it's the last video I uploaded, but yeah, if you look at my video feed, you'll see it there. The next thing I want to bring in is some other knives that kind of fit this category. Some slightly more budget-friendly stuff that is still very useful, but knives that I can carry where I don't have to feel like I've got to baby them or worry about them. Throw it in your pocket, do whatever you got to do, and just not have to have any stress. And this is the Bestech Paladin, this is the Civivi Aquila, and this is the Byrd Raven 2. And guys, I've got to say, these are all examples of knives that really hit above their weight. Okay, their quality, their action, their just feel in hand, all kinds of things about these knives are really what you'd expect from a much more expensive knife. That may be especially true of the Byrd. I think you can pick these up for around 40 bucks. Someone who's in the US can comment, maybe even cheaper than that. This guy is going to go around 50 and this one around 60. And I mean, for those prices, all of these are fantastic values and knives that I really, and here's the thing, guys. These are knives that I feel like I can use and carry and feel like I have a really good high quality knife on me and not feel like, oh, I'm just carrying this cheap budget thing today. No, I can go, hey, I've got a really nice knife with me right now and it only cost, you know, a reasonable amount of money. All of these, of course, are varying different amounts. So that is really, really fun to me. When you've got, you know, an action that's as good as the Paladin. I did have one guy comment that the action on his Paladin wasn't as nice. This one is amazing. And generally speaking, that's the feedback I've gotten about Bestech, is that they just really have smooth actions, great detent. Same is absolutely true of the Aquila here. Really nice. About the only thing I complained about in the review that was recently posted was that the flipper tab can be just a little bit sharp, but certainly not anything that I'm going to be overly concerned about. And finally, the Byrd Caracara. I mean, not the Caracara, the Byrd Raven 2. This is a knife that I've heard of lots of times. A whole bunch of videos got made when they upgraded the steel on this to CTS BD1. And a lot of people got one and just raved about it. And I don't know, guys, this is not, to me, the most beautiful knife ever, okay? It isn't. And so I watched so many videos praising it, and I was like, okay, finally, you know, I'm going to have to see what all the fuss is about. So I bought one thinking that, you know, I'd try it and maybe do a quick review and then get rid of it. But it turns out I love it. I find it so comfortable in hand. I love the blade. I love the grind. This is a fantastic knife that totally took me by surprise. My only complaint here is that I wish there were more blade. I wish this whole portion was just moved back a little bit so that I could get that extra ½ inch or so of blade length, or even, you know, 3/8 of an inch would be a huge improvement. But even with that shorter blade than I like, shorter cutting edge is what I should say than I like, this is still a fantastic knife. Let's switch gears a little bit and pull out some nicer stuff. Recently, Eugene Kwan, who also has a YouTube channel, you should go over and check it out, sent me this knife. He'd had it for sale, and I've got to give him a lot of credit. I wanted to buy it, but I just wasn't in a good situation to do so. So I said to him, look, man, I'm interested in the knife. If someone comments on your initial sale post, just sell it to them. But I'll give you a call, or I'll send you a message in a couple of weeks, and if it's still available, I'll take it. And so he's like, hey man, no worries, I'll hold on to it for you. And he did, and you know, as soon as I was able to get some funds together, I sent him over the money for this, which was a really good deal, by the way. But this is the WE Knife Slipstream, and this is probably my favorite WE design. I'll flip it over here so I can give credit to the designer, Simon Crafts. You can follow him on Instagram. I can't think of his Instagram title right now, but if someone knows it, put it in the comments down below. I have to say, I find this to be one of the most well-designed knives I'm aware of. You know, it's cool, it's different, it's slim, it's interesting. It's a really, really, at least to me, a really nice marriage of function and form. I love, by the way, this bronze with the black handle. This is absolutely my favorite version of this knife. As you know, like most WE knives, you can get them in a bunch of different colors, a bunch of different blade finishes. You know, you can have, you know, blackened or satin in various parts and stuff like that. This is my favorite configuration of this knife. I just love that little bit of bronze coming through. Absolutely gorgeous. Huge shout out to Eugene, and a big thank you for him holding on to this knife until I could come up with the funds for it. I really, really enjoy this an awful lot. Of course, I've got these other two of the more expensive knives in my collection, and two of the knives that are really favorites of mine. The F3 is one that for years I dreamed of owning, and so I'm super stoked. This is one of those knives that every day I pick it up off of my knife rack where I store all my knives, flip it a couple times and put it back. And it's a knife that I carry all the time. Now, I do baby it just a little, right? I think last year during deer season just ended a couple days ago. Last year during deer season, I had this in my pocket and I took a picture of it out in the bush and people were commenting, would you skin a deer with that? And I said, no, not really. I had a fixed blade with me to skin the deer if I would have shot one. Yeah, I do baby this one a little bit. And here's the other knife. And this one in the review, I don't know how I'm going to handle this, guys. This, of course, is a Shirogorov F3. The orange gets really messed up whenever I have this on camera all by itself. So let me put it in this way. This is a beautiful, beautiful knife. So many things are just done perfectly on it that it's hard to... I don't know. It's exceptional. It truly is. And I understand why people love it as much as they do. And honestly, I am more compelled by it every day. The more I use it, the more I carry it, the more I notice little details about it, the more I'm impressed by it. But I won't deny, guys, that it's an expensive knife. This one does, here's the dilemma that this creates. This is probably one of the most usable knives in existence. Okay, it's comfortable. The blade shape is literally perfect. All right, and so this is a knife that begs to be used. It just wants to cut stuff, but it's so stinking expensive that you're like, I don't know if I can cut anything with this or not. I have cut things, but I mean, you know, you want to be a little bit careful with it. All right, so that's been in my pocket an awful lot, and I have been really enjoying it. I want to do the last two knives here because they're a bit of a surprise to me and maybe to some of you. These are both Mastrop Ferrum Forge collaborations, the Crux and the Buck. And both of these, as far as I know, are available now, so you can go over to Mastrop. I will do my best to put links into this. I don't know how I'm going to pull that off on my phone. I've never really done it before, but at the very least, I should be able to put a comment down there with links to these. So let me say, both of these are a little smaller than my usual preference. And because of that, I thought, you know, I don't know how drawn to these I'm going to be. I don't know if I'm going to want to keep them long term, but both of these have really won me over. And I don't know. I go back and forth on whether I want to keep both of them or let go of one and keep one. And when I think of that, I think, well, which one would I let go of? And honestly, I have no idea. This is probably one of the most perfect EDC knives in existence. This, although it's maybe not as well-rounded as this one is just beautiful and so highly functional and gets a lot of the same things right. It's a little bit lighter. It's very comfortable in hand. Great edge, super thin behind the edge, slicey knife. And so these two wind up in my pocket an awful lot as well. Now, I know we've had a few more knives today than usual, and that's because it's been a longer stretch of time, but there have been some major changes in my collection, and so I wanted to kind of reflect that with you guys. I'd love to hear down in the comments below what you carry the most. I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of the models that we've talked about. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.